Hey out there, it's Wake Angel 2001 bringing you another Sonic Boom vlog from my living room because I want to prove that I can be places other than my room. That's because this was a Dave the Intern episode and wow, was it hilarious. Okay, so the episode starts a lot like the one with the smart knuckles with everybody fighting this terrifying new villain. And for a second, I thought it might have been this universe's interpretation of Silver. So this guy can shoot lasers from his fingers and freeze rays and all that stuff. And Sonic's like, why did we ever disrespect Dave the Intern? And it turns out that it wasn't Silver, it was actually Dave the Intern with a Magneto helmet on. And he's saying, and he's just destroying everything. He freezes Amy and Knuckles solid. And so I was like, I beg for mercy! I have no mercy! I'm in the fast food industry! And then he vaporizes Sonic so that only his charred shoes remain. And it turns out that he's just in the basement playing with his dolls. Kind of, Lord Helmet style. Spaceballs. His dolls are weird, like, Po from Kung Fu Panda, he has like these old wooden carved figures, but they have like articulation. His are just minifigures on like bases, and he calls them action figures. Dave, those aren't action figures, they are minifigures. Or statues. An action figure has articulation. That's the one thing that makes it an action figure. If it doesn't have articulation, it has to have some kind of action feature, like a light up gimmick or shoots a weapon or something. I digress. I talk about toys too much. And I really have something in my eye, which is why I'm rubbing my face so much. Okay, so the thing is, Howard. Alright, he really reminds me of Howard Wolowitz, the way he has a mother figure that's just a screaming voice that comes from the other room. She says that instead of hanging out in the basement and playing with his dolls all day, he should actually go out there and be a real villain. He says, I am a real villain! I'm a founding member of the Lightning Bolt Society! And she calls the Lightning Bolt Society a bunch of losers, and that he should strive to be a real villain, a real respectable villain, like that Dr. Eggman fellow. So he goes out in his little cardboard helmet and cape, and tries to be a villain. When we get the Lightning Bolt Society cameo for the day, they glued a bunch of coins to the ground so that when people would walk by, they try to pick up the coins and be really disappointed. It's a prank at best, but even they can't even be competent enough to do this, as the walrus with the sideways tusk forgets that he glued the coins down and tries to pick them up himself. So let's see, so what happens? So yeah, Dave tries to do some evil things. Like, he goes to Sonic's house where everyone's hanging out, and he tries to use a freeze ray to encase him in ice forever. His freeze ray is a big block of ice in a fan, and when he blows it in the window, everyone's like, ah, that's a cool summer breeze. You know, I really wish someone would do that for me. I mean, it's like, we're in the middle of a freaking heat wave, and it's overpowering the house's air conditioner. His next plan is to use a magnifying glass to harness the power of the sun to burn them all. But when he focuses the sun's rays, it hits a glass on a table and causes this cool disco light affair. So everyone, rather than questioning why their room is suddenly a disco light, they turn the music on and start dancing disco. It's funny because in the 3DS version of Sonic Boom, which I actually have beaten, if you collect all the emblems, you can go to Amy's house, and in there they go into a disco dance party. Does that count as a reference to the video game? So Dr. Eggman slow claps and says, like, did you learn nothing as my intern? And he shows off his newest piece of technology, the new electromagnetic cage, which is certain to capture Sonic and all that good stuff. The thing is, he gets knocked out, and Dave traps him in his basement. Like, where am I? You're trapped in my underground lair. It looks like a furnished basement. I told you it was underground. And so he turns on the TV, and there's an and the thing in the news is that there's a new villain in town. It's Sword Eagle doing his reporter spiel. Apparently, not everyone in town is in need of motivation, so he's focusing more on the news reporter part of his career. And he says that they just received a new villain thing, like I have captured Dr. Egg. Oh, Sor refers to Dave as that idiot at Medburger who always gets his order wrong. So Dave the Intern says that he's captured Dr. Eggman and he's gonna be the new supervillain, and all will fear the might of Dave the Invincible. And then his mom calls him from the room above and like embarrasses him, like, "Mom, you're ruining my manifesto." Dave, why didn't you take a second take before you sent that to the news station? I mean, sometimes I get interrupted when I film these vlogs. I do a second take. Seriously, it's weird. Yeah, so Dr. Eggman says that he has all his technology, while all Dave has is an employee discount at Medburger. He says, "That's not true. You only get a discount if you're management." Okay, Dave, you don't have a manager. You're the only employee at Medburger. There has never been an owner. You've never had any management above your head, because if you did have management, you would have been fired for all those orders you got wrong, and you were solely responsible for Medburger's advertisement when you were in that restaurant war with Amy. I can't. Why am I driven so insane by this thing about the Medburger? The fact that apparently you can aspire to be an evil villain and nobody thinks anything of it, except they'll call you a loser if you're incompetent at it. But somehow the fact that Dave is somehow not the manager at Medburger, just like that appears to be a big plot hole for me for some reason. Okay, so because Eggman says that, Dave gets the idea to go and steal his robot. It's the octopus robot. So he starts attacking the town with the octopus robot, except he doesn't really know how to steer it. So all he does is crash into random things and fail to make it work. So Sonic says that that all of his friends should stay behind and make sure that Dave doesn't hurt himself or others, while he'll go find help. So he goes to Dave's basement where Eggman is being held captive, and we see that Eggman can reach through the bars of the electromagnetic cage to try, but the remote to turn it off is just out of his reach. And it's like, I can't. This sucks. No wonder Sonic hates being captured so much. Next time I make a capture cage, I'll put in some amenities, like maybe some magazines or a drink dispenser. Okay, Sonic Boom, you have shown yourself as capable of following up on plot threads that nobody thinks to, Adventure Time style. If the next time Sonic gets captured, there's a magazine in the cell, or a drink dispenser, or something that shows you follow up on this, I will respect you forever. You will be one of the greatest shows on Cartoon Network, and not just because I'm a major Sonic fan, but because you would have followed up on this kind of stuff. Oh yeah, there's also a Cubot Norbot cameo. Eggman says that Cubot Norbot will notice he's missing and rescue him. So they cut away to Cubot Norbot sitting on a couch like, Do you feel like something's missing? No. Oh yeah, and my cup and ball toy. And I'm like, a second thought, I think I'll just get comfortable. Yes. Again, making use of that whole of the sitting still. I'm sorry. I was just having a hard time unraveling a dream I had from reality. I totally had a dream that I watched a show that I realized couldn't possibly have been on the air. Whoa. Brain farts aside, Sonic goes to the basement where Dr. Eggman's being kept, And Eggman refuses to be helped by his archenemy because it's humiliating. But Sonic says that he's rampaging the octopus robot and doesn't really know how to work it. Like, oh no, is he using the ink? Those cartridges cost a fortune, you know. As anyone who's ever owned as someone who's owned a printer and just bought an ink cartridge last week, yeah, wasting ink is a pain. Eggman refuses to be helped, but Dave's mother is calling for, is everything alright down there? Yes, Dave's mom. Wait, Sonic, you're gonna make her come down here, and then we'll get in trouble. Dr. Eggman has always been kind of thought of as a relatively older person in the main Sonic universe. I'm starting to think that maybe this version of Dr. Eggman is like fresh out of college or something. I get the feeling that this interpretation of Eggman is significantly younger than the Eggman that comes from the main Sonic universe, because, I don't know, he's just a lot more immature. And that's not just the silliness of the universe, he just genuinely seems like a younger person. And so he says that he doesn't need, he doesn't, again, he says that Sonic shouldn't rescue him because his friends will never let him hear the end of it. It's like, you have friends? Yes, I have friends. I don't have to prove anything to you. But in the end, he relents and tells Sonic where the remote is so he can shut the cable off. Just don't tell anybody that I rescued you, that you rescued me. And so when they get to the surface, the first thing Sonic says is, "Hey everyone, I rescued Eggman." So Dave is like it doesn't matter if you got Eggman out, I'll still destroy you all. And Tails goes flying by in the plane, and Dave shoots the ink at it and misses. Like, oh come on! If you're gonna use the ink, at least if you're gonna use the ink, at least aim properly. Hit the guy. And Amy's like, if the ink cartridges are so expensive, why don't you just get those off-brand refill models? Like, oh what? I just throw my money away? Like, yeah, those things that refill your printer's ink cartridges are crap. I had a friend who used one in college once, and it seemed to work, except the next day when he went to print something else, it didn't work, and when he opened it up, there was a gigantic puddle of ink that had filled the entire tray. Yeah, those refill cartridges, no. I mean, they may be less expensive than buying a new ink cartridge, but then your entire printer is foobarred. So Dr. Eggman relents and tells Sonic that there's an emergency shut-off switch at the underside of the ink bot. Like, at first he doesn't want to do anything, but when Knuckles and Amy start fighting the robot, and like Amy pounds a tentacle, it's like, no, I just had it waxed, and Knuckles rips the tentacle off. It's like, okay, there's a shut-off now. Like, So Sonic maneuvers, but Dave manages to spin out of the way, but then he crashes and crushes the house, and Sonic drives up and pulls the shut-off switch, and they get Dave out of there, and Eggman climbs inside, like, oh, he moved my mirrors and changed my presets, and the change drawer is empty. I had money in there. And he flies the octopus robot home, and then Dave's mother is in the rubble of the house that got crushed. Like, Dave, did you crush the house? Yes, Mother. That was such a terrible thing to do. I'm so proud of you. So yeah, Dave's mother is proud of him because he's actually evil. Sonic and friends decide that their work is done and they go home. And Tails sees a quarter on the ground and tries to pick it up. And And the Lightning Bolt Society gets the last laugh, literally, as they chuckle at Tails' inability to pick up the quarter. This, I really like how, instead of a bunch of, how should I phrase this? When this show first started, I thought that they would have a bunch of annoying cameos from nothing background characters, like the Golgobas, Sora the Eagle, Comic Chimp, Dave the Intern. I thought that they'd just be a bunch of random, faceless background characters that we'd never really get attached to, and they'd only be there for Sonic to bounce off of. What we get instead is, like, a fully realized cast of unique characters with their own idiosyncrasies and hilarities. Like I was getting Big Bang Theory flashbacks hearing Dave the Intern getting yelled at by his mother like Howard Wolowitz. David Wolowitz. That would be hilarious. And yeah, it's like this is a fully fleshed out cast. I mean, we got good guys, we got bad guys, we have general neutral characters. Like, it's pretty good stuff we're getting here. Like, it's good to see that background characters can essentially carry an episode or have their own arcs. Or like you can put the main cast, like Dr. Eggman spent most of the episode locked in a basement. Like and yet still was able to prove his worth. I mean, this is like in Adventure Time when you see the first episode that Finn and Jake aren't really in a lot. Like, I mean, it's not as heart-wrenching as Remember Me or I Remember You. You know, like when it was revealed that Ice King and Marceline knew each other. I mean, that was a major tearjerker episode. But I'm saying, like, this is starting to get to that level where a character can have a relatively minimized role, and that will be pretty fine because the rest of the cast is capable of carrying episodes on their own now. That's good. Also, I thought for a second that we were looking into a parallel universe when we had Dave the Intern being the major evil villain, but I guess they wouldn't use that gimmick again so soon. So yeah, it's good to see that the quality of the show is well, and now I'm just kind of starting to ramble. So this is Wake Angel 2001, and I'm signing off.